Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you new here, my name is Donna, and for those of you not new, thank you so much for continuing to come back and support my channel. I appreciate all of you so very much. Today we are doing the next installment, my Palette Roulette series, in which I let an app choose a palette that I use throughout the week. I come back to you, I talk to you about the palette, and then we pick a new palette. Today, the palette that we are talking about is this one here. This is by Uoma Beauty, and this is one of their Black Magic palettes. This one is the Allure palette. So this palette has a 4.8 star rating with 24 reviews on Uoma Beauty, and it has a 4.8 star review on Ulta Beauty, which carries Uoma Beauty as well. That is only with 9 reviews, however, so I don't know how great that number is, but with that being said, not one of those places has a review of less than 4 stars on this palette. So I thought that that was pretty incredible, right? This is the Uoma Beauty Black Magic color palette. This is the Allure palette. This is one of 4 different Black Magic color palettes. This is what the front of the palette looks like. I love the artwork on this guy. The back of it just says Allure up here, and the spine of it just says Uoma up here. Then you open it up, and it does have a nice mirror on it. I love that the mirror down here at the bottom says Eyes of a Goddess. Yes, please, you're looking at them. I thought that that was amazing. Up here, it does say allure, a verb, powerfully attract or charm. That is its meaning. These are the shades in this palette, and it definitely gave me subculture vibes when I first saw it. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Donna, and I love color, but I'm more of your grungy color kind of girl than I am your bright, like, rainbow look kind of girl. So this palette, you have to know, spoke to me on so many levels. This palette does cost $44. It is 10 shades, 5 of them shimmer, 5 of them matte. The whole top row here is shimmer. The whole bottom row here is matte. I think that that's wonderful. It's a great ratio of shimmer to matte shades. I think that is great. Each one of these pans is 0.035 ounces per pan, which means this whole palette weighs in at a whopping 0.35 ounces. I mean, that's not unheard of. That's pretty standard for a 10-pound eyeshadow palette. As I said, this is one of 4 different Black Magic palettes that they currently have. I do believe they have one called Poise, one called Carnival, one called Allure, and I cannot remember the 4th one. I'm so sorry. But all of them have that same, like, metallic to matte range in them. And this one is really just the first one that spoke volumes to my heart. The Carnival palette that is currently out also speaks volumes to me, but I don't know that I will pick it up, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. I do love that the little insert that goes into here to protect the shadows is a little bit harder plastic than some other palettes do have, and it does say Uoma Beauty on it. It makes you think that it's doing something for the shadows, so it makes you want to keep it. This boasts water-resistant, long-lasting, and high pigmentation formulas. I will tell you, this wonky eye of mine, we all know, water's like a beast. And I didn't find that these shades held up any more so than any other shade that I have. So as far as water resistance goes, I think that they're not, but that's just me. Truth be told, I do have some pretty crazy watery eyes. So there's that piece. The mattes in this palette are super pigmented. They swatch horribly. So when we get to the swatches, you'll see. The whole palette actually swatches horribly. But these mattes are super pigmented. The only one that isn't, I would say, is this yellow one right here. It's not the best yellow I've ever come across in my menagerie of palettes down here, but it's a decent yellow. It's a good, like, dirty yellow, a good grungy yellow. The shimmers, almost every single one of them feels like glitter. It feels like they are pressed glitters. These 3 specifically feel like glitter. This one feels more like a shimmer. It is a little bit more sheer to the touch. This one does feel also like a glitter, but less like a glitter than these three do. I would swear to you, I would hand on a Bible swear to you that these are pressed glitters, but they're not. I do have two of them on my lid right now, and once they're on your lid, like, they stay put. It's funny because it does say, the website does state that the textures transform into an ultra thin, full colored film on the skin. While I wouldn't say that that's 100% my experience, what I would say is it's almost 100% my experience. I do find that glitter does trickle out onto my face occasionally, especially if I'm not wearing a glitter glue. But when I'm wearing a glitter glue underneath them, it goes absolutely nowhere, and it doesn't really feel sandpapery on the lid like it does in the palette. So like I said, I would have hand on a Bible swore to you that these were pressed glitters, and they just don't act like a pressed glitter. They don't act like a shimmer, but they don't act like a pressed glitter either. They actually, all of the shades in this, I'm not wearing any primer today, and I will tell you it's because this is the first palette that I have come across that actually works better without a primer on my eyes than it does with a primer, which was astounding to me. I felt like they muddied less. I felt like they gripped more. It's just the weirdest thing. The only thing that has a primer for me is the glitter glue underneath the shimmer shades. So with that being said, the mattes do tend to get a little bit muddy, a little bit patchy. I do have a video that will go up while I am on vacation. You guys know that I have been trying to record at least one look with each palette over the last couple palette roulettes and bring it back to you at a later date with like some kind of something. This is actually a palette that I utilize in a palette bingo, my very first on my channel, that you will be seeing in the very near future while I am on vacation. You will see me kind of struggle with these matte shadows. They do not blend fantastically. They're not horrible. They do come together in the end, but it does take a rather long time to blend them to the extent that you need for them to look seamless on your eye and for them not to get muddy. I know that this green that I have on the outer corner of my eye, so this green here, it did kind of lift a couple times. I did have to pack it back into my eye look several times while I was blending my eye makeup together, just so that it appeared in my eye look. It was lifting quite a bit. It doesn't like to be layered onto itself very much at all. So there's that piece. And if you're going to go in and place another color, like, you need some serious detailing brushes so that these don't become patchy messes on your eyes. The shimmers I was super shocked with because there is nothing underneath these shimmers. There's no color underneath these shimmers. They have this pigmentation in the shimmer themselves, which I loved. I do have this green here closest to the outer V of my eye, and then I have this one here from the inner corner out to that color, and I just like, this shade is the most beautiful shade ever. It is what's on the inner portion of my eye look and is such a stunner shade. It's kind of this like duochrome green gold. It's so pretty. So a little bit about the brand. I did look up some things about the brand. This is a relatively new brand out there for a lot of us. It did come to Ulta about a year ago now, I would say, maybe 6-8 months, something like that. This is Uoma, spelled U-O-M-A, you would think, pronounced Oma or Uma, U-H-M-A-H. I'll put it in the screen. This is what they say that this is pronounced like. I have a hard time saying Uma. Anyways, the word means beautiful. Their motto is "Our race is human," and I think that that is amazing. It is a Black-owned brand by Miss Sharon Chuter, I believe her last name is. I'll put her name in the screen. She is a Nigerian-born, LA and London-based beauty executive. She is listed as one of the 50 most forward-thinking CEOs in the country, in the world, and has worked with the likes of Revlon, Benefit Cosmetics, PepsiCo, etc. That's just to name a few. This brand is 100% cruelty-free, 100% vegetarian. I don't really know what that means. You can eat it, maybe? And many of their products are also vegan. I thought that that was amazing. I had a really good time with this palette. It does remind me a lot of the Subculture palette. It's obviously a different formula, and maybe it's a formula that a lot of other people will love. What I didn't love about it is that some of the colors are a bit redundant. Almost every single one of these shimmers on this row leans gold or green gold, so they all kind of look very similar. Even the white one on the end over here does perform more like a gold. It is in my brow bone in my inner corner today. It's a white that's duochrome to a gold. So like, I think that we could have used some other colors in the shimmer nature in this palette for sure. These two darker colors here, they really do get muddy, and they really do like just become one big brown blob shade on your eyes if they're too close together in an eye look. I do have them pretty close together in the eye look today, but I used the teeniest, tiniest. As a matter of fact, I used a tight lining brush from Sigma to get the purple in my eye look and have it distinctly different than the green in my eye look. They just become too muddy and too brown on an eye look. I think that this yellow could have been better, but it's not the worst by any means. I think that this palette is a decent palette, but I don't think it's a $44 palette. It makes me not want to buy. I say this lightly because I do love this palette, and the Carnival one kind of speaks to me as well, but I don't want to work that hard for shadows to become muddy and pay $44 to do it. I don't think that $44 is an appropriate price for this palette. I honestly don't, especially when you can get a 14 pan, say ABH palette that has really great pigmentation, the same kind of longevity, which by the way, this lasts a good 10, 12, 14 hours on my eye. I've had it on my eye today for a good 6 hours we're going on now, and it still looks like it did the minute I put it on my eye, which I am impressed. I'm impressed with the palette, I am. But I can't see spending another $44 on another Uoma Beauty palette to struggle the way that I did with this palette. I do know what I'm doing when it comes to makeup, but I found myself in a place where I was really struggling to keep these shades. It reminded me a lot of Subculture, honestly. In many ways, minus the fact that in Subculture you could definitely tell the difference between every single shade in the palette, and this one you just couldn't if you weren't super careful. With that, we're going to go ahead and swatch them. I'm going to give you all of the shimmers first and then all of the matte shades. The only shimmer that is super buttery soft in the pan is that Lady of Gold, that white one that kind of turns gold in your eye look. These are them on my fingers. You guys can see them. These two look more green. This one looks white. These two look like gold. One's kind of like a bronzy gold. The other one's like a yellow gold. Then you put them on. This one is Lady of Gold. This is the first one in the palette. It's just kind of this like sheer like gold, and it was white on my finger. Then this one here is Divine. It does kind of have like a grittiness to it when you are swatching it, and these are actually swatching really well, so I'm super happy with that. This one is called Mystical. This one is Allure, and it is my favorite shimmer in the palette. And then this one is Enchantress, and that is what it looks like. But you guys can see they definitely are very pigmented, even underneath the glitter. But I don't know if you guys can see the texture of those. But then once you get them onto your eyes, they don't feel super textured. That is the weirdest thing to me. They feel like sandpaper in the pan. They feel like sandpaper as I'm swatching them, but on my eyes, they don't feel like sandpaper. So again, they make a giant mess of the palette. Do you guys see the glitter everywhere? That's why, like I said, I would have sworn to you on a stack of Bibles that these were loose glitters. For the mattes, we do have Romantic, which is just a like really soft pink shade. This was an amazing shade for a like crease shade. It was an amazing shade for transition. It was an amazing shade for buffing anything out. It was the shade I used when one of the darker shades became patchy and I didn't feel like I could fix it. I would mix this shade into it just to give it a lighter shade to adhere to and help blend it out. Then we have this one, which is Love. It's one of my favorites in the palette. These are swatching really, really well, actually. Then we have this one, which is Ocean. Is the yellow. Like I said, I think that this yellow could have been done better. Then we have this green, which is called Lush. This one really tends to get patchy and muddy. And again, this is the one that's on my eye look today in the outer corner, and I did have to pack it on multiple times. It did not want to blend out. It did not want to stick to anything that I tried to put underneath it. And then we have Opulence, which is supposed to be a matte royal purple. I think that you guys can see the patchiness, especially in that green and that purple shade. The other three mattes really do blend well and they look really great on the eyes, but those two darker shades, like they could have used some work. So with that being said, this is a relatively new product in my collection. I think I hauled it in last month. I do like this palette. I would love to see how it stacks up against Subculture, and I might maybe do a video where I'm, you know, comparing the two of them on each eye. I think that it does have enough shades in it that are just alike to the Subculture palette that it would be super easy to do. I mean, even that Allure shade, which is one of my favorite shades in this palette, looks a lot like Lucid, which I think is in Subculture. It might be in Prismatic. But I think that I could like stack this up against the Subculture palette and have a good battle of the palettes going on. I do like the palette. It will stay in my collection. I love the artwork on the outside of the packaging. This is like super scary, like crazy, like witchy looking, but I love it. I'm all for it. Would I recommend it? I think that I honestly am a Subculture lover. I think that Subculture for me worked a lot better than this palette. So if this color scheme is what you're gearing towards, I would recommend Subculture before I'd recommend this. Also in Subculture, you get 14 shades, and in this one you get 10. And in Subculture, it's cheaper-ish, right? When I purchased it, I want to say it was $40, and now it's $42, or it was $42 and now it's $45. I can't remember, but either way, you get more shades for roughly the same amount of price point. So I would recommend Subculture before I would recommend this one, but I did have fun with this palette. And come on, these glitters, like there's definitely some glitter in there, but man, they just react so much differently. You know me, I'm afraid of glitter, but I had one of these on my lid every single day this week. So there's that. One thing I would say too is because all of those glitters are basically a green gold, almost every eye look I put on my face this week did look quite similar to the others. As a matter of fact, this one that I'm wearing today looks very similar to the one that I did in my very first palette bingo that you guys will see me do next month. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the app. We're going to pull a new palette now. For those of you who are unaware, I do use like a Wheel of Fortune app that I just picked up on my Play Store. It is called the Decide Now app. It looks like this. I just put all of my palettes into it. As I use a palette, I do take it out of the wheel. As I haul new palettes in, I do put them into the wheel. And this is how we choose the palettes that we use in these Palette Roulette series. So to spin it, you just press the big blue button there. So that's what we're gonna do. Some days it makes noises, some days it does not. I don't quite understand. All right, this is the Nomad Berlin Untergrund palette. That was my best German. I took German for 4 years. You would never know it because the only thing I can say these days is Ich habe Hunger, ich habe Durst, wo blieb das Essen? Yep, that's about it. All right, I'll be right back with this palette. All right. This is the Nomad Berlin Untergrund palette, and I'm actually pretty excited. This is also a very grungy fall palette. You guys, this just warms my fall heart. I am really super excited to come to you guys with the outcome of this palette, and yeah. Like, I've never tried Nomad Cosmetics. Let me know if you have. I am really excited that this is the second palette in a row that is just very grungy fall vibes for, like I said, my fall heart. I did get this in an Ipsy and put it into my collection. And funny story, I know where every single one of my palettes are located. I could not find this palette. So me trying to find this palette took an eternity, and I really thought I was going to have to come back to you guys and say, I don't know what happened to the palette. We need to pick a new one. But I'm super excited to be using this palette over the next week. I hope that you guys liked this video. What palette are you using this week? Are you following along with me? Are you doing something different? Are you trying to use your palettes up? Because really that's the name of the game here. I hope that you guys liked this video enough that you're considering giving it a big thumbs up. Really does help my channel out here, and it's totally free to do. I hope that you liked it or me enough that you're also considering subscribing to my channel before you go. Hopefully, if you do that, you're also considering hitting that little bell down there because it'll notify you every single time I upload. And I do upload content 3 to 4 times a week. I wouldn't want you to miss anything. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Again, I am so grateful that you're here. I know that you don't have to be, you choose to be, and that's super overwhelming and humbling, and I love being here for you as well. Please stay safe out there, you guys. Please wear your masks because we're never going to get out of this unless we all start wearing our masks. Please love each other, but love each other from afar. And until next time, bye guys.